Muslim ibn Aqeel was one of the most prominent figures in the revolution of Imam Husayn. He was the trusted confidant of Imam Husayn, who was chosen for the very delicate task of assessing the intentions of the people of Kufa.
Not only was Muslim ibn Aqeel the cousin of Imam al-Husayn, but also amongst a group of people who was considered to be close to the Ahl al-Bayt alayhum salam, trained by them, brought up by them, inspired by this household of nobility.
Bani Hashim were known for their bravery, eloquence. These characteristics we see in the personality of Muslim. They said he was a fearless warrior.
Imam Husayn gives the explanation to the people of Kufa, do bay'ah at the hand of Muslim. The hand of Muslim is my hand. This is the Imam saying, your hand is my hand.
He sat her on his lap and he began to wipe his hand over her head. She said, "Uncle, you're treating me the way an orphan is treated. Has something happened to my father?"
In the glorious mosque of Kufa lies the tomb of Muslim ibn Aqeel, the ambassador of Imam Husayn. Sent to Kufa by Imam Husayn himself after its inhabitants pledged their support to him, his story is one of loyalty, betrayal, and the first martyr in the timeless saga of Ashura.
Muslim ibn Aqeel was one of the most prominent figures in the revolution of Imam Husayn. He was not just the cousin of Imam Husayn, nor was he just a companion of Imam Husayn. He was the trusted confidant of Imam Husayn, who was chosen for the very delicate task of assessing the intentions of the people of Kufa. Narrations mention that he bore a striking resemblance to the Prophet ﷺ. It's noted that he also served as one of the key military commanders in the army of Ali ibn Abi Talib in the Battle of Siffin. He was a narrator of hadith, and he was a contemporary of many of the companions of the Holy Prophet. Muslim and his father Aqeel were both beloved to the Prophet ﷺ, so much so that Shaykh al-Saduq in his Amali, he records a conversation that took place during the lifetime of the Prophet, whereby Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib once asked the Prophet, "Ya Rasulullah, innaka latuhibbu Aqilan?" Ya Rasulullah, do you love Aqeel? To which the Prophet replied, "I wallah, inni la uhibbuhu hubbain." I swear by God that I love Aqeel with two loves. Hubban lahu wa hubban li Abi Talibillah. I love Aqeel for his sake, and I love him because Abu Talib loved him very dearly. Rasulullah prophesied the tragic martyrdom of Muslim when he said to Amir al-Mu'mineen, وَإِنَّ وَلَدَهُ لَمَقْتُولٌ فِي مَحَبَّةِ وَلَدِكَ. That this Muslim, he will be killed because of his love for your son, O Ali. تَدْمَعُ عَلَيْهِ عُيُونُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. The believers will shed tears for him. وَتُصَلِّي عَلَيْهِ الْمَلَائِكَةُ الْمُقَرَّبُونَ. And the close angels of God will send their salutations upon him. And then the narration states that the Prophet ﷺ began to weep bitterly. And he said, إِلَى اللَّهِ أَشْكُو مَا تَلْقَى عِتْرَتِي مِنْ بَعْدِي. O Allah, I complain to you about what my progeny will endure after me. Muslim was not only the nephew of Ali ibn Abi Talib, but he was actually the son-in-law of Ali. Narrations mention that he was married to Ruqayya, and therefore he was the beloved nephew, the beloved son-in-law. And he played a pivotal role during the Khilafah of Amir al-Mu'mineen. It is narrated that Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam even chose him to be one of the treasurers during the period of his Khilafah. Indeed, Muslim was trusted not only by Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam, but he was also trusted by the commander of the faithful.
Not only was Muslim ibn Aqeel the cousin of Imam Husayn, but also amongst a group of people who's considered to be close to the Ahl al-Bayt alayhum salam, trained by them, brought up by them, inspired by this household of nobility, purity, magnificent leaders for mankind.
One of the most famous stories that exists is the conversation between Imam Ali and Aqeel about finding a wife for Imam Ali. And Imam Ali famously goes to his brother and says, show me a lineage, show me a family to marry into, to have a brave son. Imam Ali, when he asks this question, not only is he asking about who and where should a person look into to find good attributes in their children, but he's also demonstrating the value that Aqeel possessed, the uniqueness that Aqeel possessed, and the knowledge that he was uniquely qualified to present. This one conversation gives us so much insight into the relationship, the value, and the lesson that Imam al-Mu'mineen is teaching us by connecting with his brother and not through another person or another personality.
We don't know much about Muslim's early stages in life and when he was exactly born. However, it is said that he was born in the early 20s after Hijrah because he did participate in the war of Siffin with Imam Ali alayhi salam. He was brought up in the household of Bani Hashim. And Bani Hashim were known for their bravery, eloquence, and loyalty. And these characteristics we see in the personality of Muslim. They said he was a fearless warrior.
People observed that he was like a lion. Historians wrote how he would grab an individual and would throw them across the wall. There are some suggestions that he, alongside his brothers Ja'far and Ali, took part in expeditions and certain conquering objectives in Africa. Some narrations point to him being part of the army that freed the Egyptian city today of Bahinsa. When it comes to Siffin, we are told in narrations that Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, he placed a group of people on the right flank of the army. These included Imam al-Hasan, Imam al-Husayn, Abdullah ibn Ja'far, as well as Muslim ibn Aqeel.
Hazrat Muslim is reported to have a total of 7 children, 2 daughters and 5 sons. Of the 2 daughters, the one that's most famous is Humayda or Hamida, who was the youngest daughter of Hazrat Muslim. The 5 sons of Hazrat Muslim are discussed as members in Karbala. As a matter of fact, there's a son of Hazrat Muslim called Abdullah ibn Muslim. Sheikh Abbas Qummi in his book Nafasul Mahmoom narrates and says that it's possible that the first of the Banu Hashim to be martyred was this Abdullah ibn Muslim. And he was a brave warrior. He was a young man similar to Ali ibn al-Akbar, and he was killed in the field of Karbala along with his brother. The 2 sons of Hazrat Muslim, Tiflan Muslim as they're known, who are martyred later on, they are kids who were present in the field of Karbala with Imam Husayn, but were captured separate from the family after the shahadat of Imam Husayn. There's a famous statement from our 4th Imam, Ali ibn Husayn Zain al-Abidin, where he narrates and he says, after the shahadat of Imam Husayn, when they burned our tents, the children of the Ahlul Bayt were scattered in the field of Karbala, the way when you break a tasbih, the beads scatter into the ground. And that these 2 boys were separated from the rest of the family, captured separately and taken to Kufa separately and imprisoned separately. And that this narration and the place that we go to today to do their ziyarat is the consequence of that separation from those who were sent to Sham.
It is likely that he had a daughter by the name of Atika who was there on the 10th of Muharram and was martyred on Sham Ghariba, trampled upon by the horses, and was martyred tragically at that time. The brothers of Muslim were also martyred on the 10th of Muharram with Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam. There are some narrations that point to particularly 9. I found names such as Ali al-Akbar, the son of Aqeel, Ja'far, the son of Aqeel, Abdul Rahman al-Akbar, the son of Aqeel, Musa, the son of Aqeel, Aun, the son of Aqeel, and Muhammad, the son of Aqeel, all martyred on the 10th of Muharram. What a family that truly stood up to the principles and values and sacrificed their lives for Islam and the Ahl al-Bayt.
Some even say that all the children of Aqeel all his offspring, all his lineage were killed in either Karbala or in the aftermath. His lineage was severed. There is no mention of his lineage after Karbala.
The road to Karbala begins in Mecca when news reaches Imam Husayn of the death of Muawiyah ibn Abu Sufyan, who appoints his tyrannical son Yazid as the new ruler. It is said that the people of Kufa wrote to Imam Husayn in their thousands, asking him to come to their aid against Yazid.
Imam Husayn alayhi salam left the city of Medina. He arrived in Mecca during Sha'ban. He was in Mecca during the month of Ramadan, and he was in Mecca during Shawwal and during Dhul Qa'dah and until the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. The people of Kufa began writing letters to the Imam, inviting him to come to Kufa to save them from the tyranny of the Umayyads. They said to the Imam that we don't have an Imam and we want you to come. We will support you. We will stand by your side, help you topple the Umayyads. History tells us that they sent 12,000 letters to the Imam. When there are people who are in need of your help, and they are genuinely seeking your help, it is obligatory upon the Imam to rise, to help them.
The death of Muawiyah and Imam Husayn leaving the city of Medina are separated by mere days, maybe 5 days. Imam Husayn's leaving Medina was on the basis that he says, I'm leaving now لِإِصْلَاحِ أُمَّةِ جَدِّي, to repair and to reform the nation of my grandfather. So Imam Husayn did not receive letters from Kufa in the city of Medina. And when he proceeds to Mecca is when the letters upon letters upon letters come from the city of Kufa.
Imam al-Hussein sent multiple ambassadors to different parts of the Islamic world. So he sent, for example, Sulaiman bin Razin to Al-Basra. But because Ibn Ziyad was ruling in Al-Basra and he was known to be very strict and ruthless, he killed Sulaiman bin Razin immediately, so he couldn't even deliver the message of Imam al-Hussein. Unlike Muslim ibn Aqeel. Muslim ibn Aqeel, he was the ambassador sent to Al-Kufa. Muslim ibn Aqeel was on a mission and he was sent by Imam al-Hussein to see how the atmosphere and how the Shia and the people are in Al-Kufa and whether they are serious about him coming to Al-Kufa or not.
He sent a letter with Muslim ibn Aqeel addressed to the people of Kufa, saying, I am sending my brother, أخي وثقتي, and the trusted one, والمفضل من أهل بيتي, and the favored one over all my relatives. These 3 words are very telling of how great Muslim ibn Aqeel was.
Imam Husayn gives the explanation to the people of Kufa, do bay'ah at the hand of Muslim. The hand of Muslim is my hand. Can you imagine the Masoom saying that about a person? Do you know what that person is at that moment in time? That's not that moment that they're special. That's not that second that they became special. That means that the life of piety and thoughtfulness that they have lived from beginning to end has culminated in not just the acknowledgement from the Imam. This is the Imam saying, your hand is my hand. That means in association with knowledge, association with piety, association with akhlaq, association with bravery. Every attribute that we look to in perfection in the Imam is saying, this person will represent me.
The city of Kufa is one of rich history and has a prestigious place in Shia Islamic thought that goes all the way back to the time of Nabi Adam.
The city of Kufa was officially founded during the reign of Umar ibn al-Khattab. It was initially established as a military garrison town. Situated alongside the banks of the Euphrates, the city gradually turned into a vibrant center of political, spiritual, and intellectual activities. One of the most important turning points of the history of this city is when Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam shifted the capital of the Islamic Empire from Medina to Kufa. The city became a beacon of justice and Islamic scholarship. And many of the sermons of Amir al-Mu'mineen, which are recorded in Nahj al-Balagha, were delivered in this city. We have a narration where one of the companions of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam narrates by the name of Harun ibn Kharija. He states that I was in the presence of Imam al-Sadiq and he spoke to me about the merits of Masjid al-Kufa. And he said to me, there is not a single prophet, nor is there a single angel, nor is there a single righteous servant of God unless they have prayed in this masjid. And then the Imam says, one of the locations that the Prophet stopped at during his night journey from Mecca to Masjid al-Aqsa was Masjid al-Kufa. The Prophet ﷺ disembarked al-Buraq and offered a 2 rak'ah prayer in this sacred masjid.
Kufa was the second city that was established by the Muslims. The first is the city of Basra, the second is the city of Kufa. Imam Sadiq, however, says that the city of Kufa was much older than these reports. The city of Kufa existed during the time of Nuh. So it's an ancient city. But perhaps the city was destroyed, the city was demolished. The rebirth of the city was in the year 17th after Hijrah.
Narrations tell us about Nuh alayhi salam's ship being there in Masjid al-Kufa. Before that even, Adam alayhi salam building Masjid al-Kufa. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam in the journey of Isra coming to Masjid al-Kufa and praying in Masjid al-Kufa. We are told that after the year 17 after Hijrah, people began to flock towards this area. It became truly a cosmopolitan city. Strong nomadic tribes were present there, some semi-nomadic. You had soldiers, refugees, economic migrants. You had prisoners of war that had converted to Islam. You had Christian Arabs. So the denominations were quite wide. There was a number of Yemeni tribes, for example, Tay and Hamadan. They had displayed loyalty to Amir al-Mu'mineen, peace and blessings be upon him, and they started to migrating towards Kufa as well. Amir al-Mu'mineen, peace and blessings be upon him, praises Kufa by saying, هذه مدينتنا ومحلنا ومقر شيعتنا. This is our city. This is the place of our Shia. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam says, تربة نحبها وتحبنا. The soil of Kufa loves us and we love it as well.
It became the intellectual hub. So scholars would meet there from the Islamic world. They would exchange knowledge with each other. And the Kufan school of recitation became a known school and influenced the Quranic recitation and the grammar development. Then we have Masjid al-Kufa. Masjid al-Kufa was established around the same time and is one of the oldest mosques in Islamic history and has a very high status and rank among the mosques. It is said that 70,000 prophets did go there and pray there. That's why when we go to the mosque, we usually do these a'mal and deed. We pray at each station and we say, this is the station of Nabi Ibrahim, this is the station of Nabi Musa, this is the station of this and this prophet. According to our traditions, praying there is equivalent to 1,000 prayers somewhere else. So this mosque has this position and value.
The discussion around the calamity of Ashura is plagued with the accusation that it was actually the Shia themselves that killed Imam al-Husayn. This accusation stems from the betrayal of Imam Husayn by the people of Kufa, who deserted his cause despite them writing to him in their thousands, asking him to come to their aid. How do we respond to this accusation?
The accusation that the Shia of Kufa betrayed Imam al-Husayn stems from Umayyad propaganda that sought to shift blame and discredit the Shia. Historical evidence, as well as the words of Imam al-Husayn himself, reveal that those who perpetrated the crimes on the day of Ashura were in fact Umayyads and Umayyad loyalists. There were 5 groups that inhabited Kufa during the time of Imam al-Husayn. The first were the Umayyad loyalists, the likes of Umar ibn Sa'd, who were agents and supporters of the government in Damascus. The second group that inhabited Kufa were the Khawarij. Notorious figures like Shimr ibn al-Jawshan had settled in Kufa. The third group were the simpletons. These were individuals who were easily swayed by propaganda. They were individuals who simply aligned themselves with the dominant group. The fourth group were the Persian captives that entered the city of Kufa after parts of Persia were conquered. These were individuals that harbored malice towards Ali ibn Abi Talib, because Ali ibn Abi Talib played a key role in the conquering of Persia. The fifth group that inhabited the city of Kufa were the Shi'as of Ali ibn Abi Talib and the Ahlul Bayt. If you look at the key supporters of Imam al-Husayn, you find that almost all of them hailed from Kufa. When you look at the statements of Imam al-Husayn on the day of Ashura, when he addressed his enemies, he said to them, وَيْحَكُمْ يَا آلَ أَبِي سُفْيَانَ إِن لَمْ يَكُنْ لَكُمْ دِينٌ وَكُنْتُمْ لَا تَخَافُونَ الْمَعَادِ فَكُونُوا أَحْرَارًا فِي دُنْيَاكُمْ هَذِهِ. Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam addresses his enemies on the day of Ashura by actually calling them the Shi'as of the family of Abu Sufyan. So if the Shi'as of Ali, if the Shi'as were the killers of Imam al-Husayn, why would Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam address his enemies as the Shi'a of Abi Sufyan? Furthermore, we find that on the day of Ashura, when Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam asked his enemies why they intended to kill him, were they intending on killing him for a right that he had neglected, for a prophetic tradition that he had changed, for circumventing the Sharia? Were they fighting him because of a crime that he committed? They responded to Imam al-Husayn, بَلْ نُقَاتِلُكَ بُغْضًا لِأَبِيكَ. We are fighting you, O Hussein, because of the enmity that we have to your father Ali ibn Abi Talib. Thus, the killers of Imam al-Husayn were none other than the Umayyads and Umayyad loyalists, individuals who harbored malice and enmity towards the Ahlul Bayt, but specifically for Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. The reality is that the Shi'as who inhabited Kufa did not actually betray Imam al-Husayn. Many of them were imprisoned, some of them were killed. What actually happened is that the movement in Kufa was crushed because the four groups band together, and Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad created an atmosphere of terror. So the Shi'as either supported Imam al-Husayn in Karbala, or they were imprisoned and killed by Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad in Kufa.
It's very true that when the Battle of Jamal takes place, that Imam Hassan goes and raises an army from Kufa to support Imam Ali in Basra. Very true. Imam Ali raised armies from Kufa to go fight Muawiyah and Siffin. Very true. When Imam Hassan abdicates the Khilafat, Muawiyah takes authority. You have a city that has raised armies against you and has been the supporter of your enemy. What would you do? Would you leave those people there? No. Muawiyah restructures the city of Kufa and takes all of those clans and families that are loyal to Ahlul Bayt and pushes them out to the frontiers of Islam, away from anything and any place where they could work together. Kufa at the time of Karbala is a city that is compromised of militias who were loyal to money. That Muawiyah moved to Kufa and said, hey, this is a military base. Come to the military base. When there's action, you'll be the first ones to go out and make money. And this explains a lot of the behavior of the Kufans. When they see Muawiyah, and Muawiyah doesn't take good care of them, because Muawiyah wasn't a very honest guy, what happens? They send an appeal to Imam Husayn and they say, we heard Kufa was a better place under your dad. We're tired of the way this guy's treating us. Come treat us better. And they're sellswords. So what's the consequence? That when Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad enters the city of Kufa and stands up against Imam Husayn and threatens them that you think he's going to treat you better if you live. Yazid ibn Muawiyah is going to kill you for raising your voice against him. All those sellswords and militants, they simply turn around and say, nah, I'd rather stay alive and be poor than try and be rich and be killed. And thus, therefore, the misrepresentation of what was the population of the city of Kufa takes place as being a Shia city. It was, and it eventually becomes again. And that's what explains the letters and the change of heart of people of the city of Kufa.
Not every individual that claims to be a Shia is a Shia. Because the real followers of the Ahlul Bayt, the real Shia, will never betray truth and their Imam, never. And we find that the real Shia were Muslim bin Awsaja, Habib bin Mudahir, Hani bin Urwa. Those were the real Shia. They would never betray their Imam. Because even according to our narrations, Imam Ali alayhi salam says, Shi'atuna man ittaqa Allah. Our Shia are those who fear Allah, who obey Allah, who follow the rulings of Allah. So somebody can claim to be a Shia, but if they don't follow the principles of a Shia, if they don't have the attributes and characteristics of a Shia, they are not Shia. Of course, the city of Al-Kufa has a big role in the Shia ideology. Just aside from the fact that Imam Ali alayhi salam was martyred in this mosque, aside from the fact that he has his house there that the Shia visit every year and in every occasion they have, aside from the fact that Hani bin Urwa and Muslim ibn Aqeel and Maytham al-Tammar and other personalities are buried there, according to our tradition, this city will be the city from which our awaited Imam, may Allah Azza wa Jal hasten his reappearance, will rule. So this will be the main capital of the world, and the Imam will rule from this place. Because it is said that the Shia will gather and wait for the Imam there, and the movement will start there. So from this perspective, the future of Al-Kufa plays a significant role in the Shia ideology, and it is the symbol of freedom and justice, because this city is the city of our awaited Imam from which he will rule the world, inshallah.
The city of Kufa isn't just history to us. The city of Kufa is our future as well. The hadith says that Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam will establish his government. He will rise from Mecca, but will establish his government in the city of Kufa, and he will lead the salat in the grand mosque, and he will settle his house, his home will be in the mosque of Sahla, a very special mosque, a very significant mosque. The government of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the divine government, will be established in Kufa. The stronghold of Islam in the future will also be in the city of Kufa.
Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam in a beautiful narration says, when Imam al-Mahdi sits in a particular minbar and recites and starts speaking in Kufa, حتى يأتي المنبر ولا يدري الناس ما يقول من البكاء. People are crying so much that no one will be able to hear what he is saying due to the emotion that is expressed by people of Kufa in welcoming the Imam. Peace and blessings be upon him, and may Allah hasten his reappearance. Therefore, it has a very pivotal role to play in the future, without a doubt.
At Imam Husayn's command, Muslim ibn Aqeel sets out to the city of Kufa to analyze the situation and report back to Imam Husayn. However, the narrative that has come to us surrounding Muslims' journey to Kufa is one that is plagued with controversy.
When I look at the biography of Muslim ibn Aqeel radhiyallahu ta'ala alayhi, it pains me to see certain references and indications which are a huge question mark on his personality. And one of them is regarding what happened after he took the letter from Imam Husayn alayhi salam and moved towards Kufa. What's mentioned in these historical narrations is that he employs two people to show him the way. These two individuals die due to thirst. And according to this narration, he writes back to Imam al-Husayn saying that, you know what, I am going through this tatayyur. Tatayyur in Arabic means that I feel that it's bad luck, and so please excuse me from this particular objective or this mission. I don't want to do it. And the narration goes on to say that Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam writes back saying to him, no, I fear that this is cowardice from you. Jubun, continue. You have to keep going. We do not accept these narrations. These narrations cannot be accepted. I have seen historians from the school of Ahl al-Bayt who try to justify. This is not something that the Imam would say towards his cousin Muslim ibn Aqeel. Neither would Muslim ibn Aqeel himself say قد تطيرت. Back in the time, what they used to do was look at certain birds, and if the birds move towards the right or the left in a very straight direction, that means it's bad luck. That's what tatayyur mentioned in the Quran. And the idea here is that Islam rejects this categorically. There's no existence of such a thing in Islam. So if a Muslim who is learned, who is a scholar, who is brave, who was trusted by Imam Husayn, to think that way is not acceptable. These are hands of Bani Umayyah, designed to distort and to tarnish the reputation. They want to show that Muslim was not the right man for the job, that he from the beginning was bound to fail. All this venom and poison designed to shake history and the people's belief regarding Muslim ibn Aqeel, and therefore such a narration cannot be accepted at all.
After his arrival, he is received by the people of Kufa. The Imam tells him to go to the house of the most trusted one. Some say that he went to the house of Muslim ibn Aqeel, the great companion of Imam Husayn. Some say that he went to the house of Hani ibn Urwa, but the popular opinion is that he went to the house of Al-Mukhtar. Perhaps one of the reasons why he went to the house of Al-Mukhtar was because Al-Mukhtar was the son-in-law of the governor of Kufa, Nu'man ibn Bashir. Nu'man ibn Bashir was appointed by Muawiyah, and his appointment was ratified by his son Yazid after he assumed power. He realized that Imam Husayn enjoys a great deal of support and popularity in the city of Kufa. They say that when he first read the letter of Imam al-Husayn, people began to cry, to shed tears. And the first person to stand up and show his loyalty was Abbas ibn Shabib. He said, "By God, we will support you. You are the ambassador of Husayn, the son of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whether you win or you are killed, we are with you." Habib then stood up, and then he said that I echo and reiterate what Abbas ibn Shabib said. These were the loyal ones. But the majority of the people, they were fed with the tyranny of the Umayyads. They were sick and tired of the tyranny of Muawiyah and Yazid. And because they had witnessed the justice and the equality and fairness of Ali ibn Abi Talib, they wanted the son of Ali ibn Abi Talib to rule. And Nu'man ibn Bashir, who was the governor, he refused to engage in a war with Muslim ibn Aqeel. This is why certain individuals who were with the Umayyads, like Umar ibn Sa'd, they wrote a letter to Yazid telling him that things are getting out of hand. And if you want to save the situation, then you'll need to replace Nu'man ibn Bashir. You need to send someone with a character who is strong, who is willing to fight. Yazid, after receiving the letter of these individuals from Kufa, he sought the advice of his advisors. One of the people that he sought his advice was Sir John, the Christian advisor of Muawiyah and Yazid. He said to him, "Look, the best person to be in that situation is none other than Ubaydullah." He took out an appointment letter by Muawiyah appointing Ubaydullah to be the governor of Kufa. So he said, your father, before his death, he wanted to appoint him as the governor. So he appointed Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. He went to the city of Kufa. When he entered the city, he was wearing a mask. People thought, because they were anticipating the arrival of Imam Husayn alayhi salam, people thought that this is Imam Husayn alayhi salam. They began to greet him by saying, "Assalamu alayka ibn Rasulullah." The governor, who was Nu'man ibn Bashir, thought that this is Imam Husayn. Nu'man ibn Bashir quickly closed all the doors. He came out of the window and he said, "Look, O Husayn, I don't want to fight. I don't want to kill you. I don't want to take part in shedding your blood. Why'd you come to the city of Kufa? Go to another city." Ubaydullah began to speak to him. A guy who thought this was Imam Husayn, when he heard his voice, he said, "Ibn Marjana. This man is Ibn Marjana. This man is not Husayn ibn Ali. So they began to throw pebbles at him. Ibn Marjana was a wicked man. He was known for his wickedness. But they quickly went inside the palace and they closed the door. All the doors, preventing the people from entering. So now Muslim, 18,000 according to some reports, 18,000 people pledged their allegiance to him, or pledged their allegiance to Imam Husayn alayhi salam through him. When this happened, Muslim ibn Aqeel wrote a letter to Imam Husayn. إن الرائد لا يكذب أهله. These people confirmed their allegiance by doing bay'ah with me. We're doing bay'ah with you through me. Now is the time to come and you should act fast.
What Ubaydullah bin Ziyad did was, he started to spy on the Shia and those supporting Muslim ibn Aqeel. He started to imprison some of them. Without a doubt, he killed some of them. He spread a lot of fear and intimidation and promise of a huge army that is approaching and coming from the direction of Sham towards Kufa that would kill those who had dared to stand against the Umayyads. This gradually began to weaken the resolve of the people, unfortunately. So Muslim, what did he do? He moved from the house of Mukhtar towards the house of Hani ibn Urwa. He began to continue to place certain segments of his people into different locations around the city.
Ibn Ziyad heard that Muslim is hiding in the house of Hani. So what did he do? He called Hani to come to his palace. When Hani came, Hani was a strong man. He had the whole tribe behind him. He had nothing to fear. The tribe of Hani was surrounding the palace. And Hani told them, if you hear me scream or say anything, then just storm the castle. Ibn Ziyad took him, he was speaking with him, he was asking him, where is Muslim? Give me Muslim. Hani, loyal as he is, he didn't say a word. Ibn Ziyad, arrogant as he is, he didn't accept what was being said to him. So what did he do? He took a stick next to him and he started hitting Hani on his face. It is said that he broke his nose and that he hurt him. And then he called his soldiers to put him in one of the dungeons. The tribe of Hani heard what was going on. They wanted to storm the castle, and Ibn Ziyad knew that if they do this, then he's finished. So what did he do? There was a man named Shurayh al-Qadi. This man was a judge in the Islamic world and a trusted judge. Ibn Ziyad, he told him, if you go on the balcony and you tell them that Hani is okay, then I will keep you alive. If you don't do that, I will kill you. Shurayh, the judge, was stuck between two options. Either he lies and he says Hani is okay and he saves his own life, or he goes and tells them Hani is not okay and then he will get killed. Shurayh al-Qadi went to the balcony, and one of our scholars says this in a very beautiful way. He says that Shurayh al-Qadi went to the balcony, he looked at the people, and this was a fateful moment. This was a key moment in his life. This moment is something that you should work for your whole life, because you can change history with one word, with one sentence. In this moment, Shurayh al-Qadi decided to do the wrong thing. He told them Hani is okay. When they heard that Shurayh al-Qadi is saying Hani is okay, they thought it's okay. This is the judge that we know, that we trust. If he says Hani is okay, then Hani is okay. So the tribe left again. If Shurayh al-Qadi did say the truth in that moment, if he actually said what was going on inside, if he said Hani is not okay, then the tribe would have stormed the castle, they would have killed Ibn Ziyad, Muslim would have been safe, Al-Kufa would have been safe, Imam Husayn could have arrived safely, probably. Everything could have changed. But Shurayh didn't choose the truth, he didn't say the truth.
Muslim decides to call for this uprising. 4,000 of them gather around Qasr al-Amara, surrounding Ubaydullah bin Ziyad. But historians say that there were skirmishes, there were a lot of battles taking place. Women came to their men and said, I don't want you to die, pulling them away. Ubaidullah made sure that he bribes people, gave them money who were there, said, look, if you leave this particular siege, I will give you certain amount. Others, tribes, were influential in making people weaken in their faith and determination to fight alongside Muslim ibn Aqeel. Muslim ibn Aqeel recognized the betrayal of these individuals, the betrayal of these people gradually.
So Muslim ibn Aqeel went to the Grand Mosque. He prayed Salatul Jama'ah. They say that initially the mosque was filled with people praying behind him leading the congregational prayer. But when he finished his Salat, he looks behind him to see no one, absolutely no one praying behind him. So he's now alone, roaming in the city of Kufa, not knowing where to go. He was tired, he was thirsty. He stood by the door of a house. A woman came out of the house to see a stranger standing by her door. May I help you? She says to the man. He said, I'm thirsty. She brings him a cup of water. He drinks the water. She goes inside and then comes out again, only to see the stranger standing by the door. She said, Ya Abdullah, I don't feel comfortable you standing at my door. You asked me for water, I gave you water. Why don't you go back to your family? So he said, I don't have any family in this city. I'm a stranger. A stranger? Where'd you come from? I came from Medina. Medina? Who are you? Where are you from? Who's your tribe? He said, I'm from Bani Hashim. Bani Hashim? The tribe, the family of Rasulullah? I said, who are you? He said, I am Muslim ibn Aqeel. Muslim, the nephew of Ali ibn Abi Talib, who was one day the emperor in the city. She was a lover of Ali ibn Abi Talib. She said, can I help you? Can I do anything for you? He said, if you can just allow me to stay at your place just this night, I will leave tomorrow early in the morning. She said, absolutely, absolutely.
Till today, her name is mentioned. Understands and prefers her akhirah over her dunya. And she says, I know by seeing your condition in this situation, I am in danger to allow you in my house. But she says, look, I understand that this is the authority of Imam Husayn, as the authority of Allah on this earth, and that if he is in difficulty, that I should assist him. That one lady's assistance in her ability tied her name to Imam Husayn forever, for the rest of eternity. That one sacrifice, she didn't raise a sword, she didn't fight the enemy, but she sacrificed from herself by preferring her akhirah and the hujjah of Allah on this earth, than preferring herself and what her desire could be. Don't imagine that raising a sword on the battlefield is what will preserve your efforts for the sake of Islam. No. It's the sacrifice and the capacity that we have that makes us beloved to Ahlul Bayt. And that being beloved to Ahlul Bayt will immortalize you by attaching your name to them forever. There's no mention of what her childhood was, her family was. She has no nobility to claim. She has no wealth to claim. She has no other fame than simply taking that moment to prefer Ahlul Bayt over herself. It's an amazing story.
She had a son. They say that his name was Bilal. The authorities were looking for Muslim because he was the head of the rebellion in their eyes. So they were adamant on arresting him. They announced anyone that tells us about his whereabouts, will give him a bounty. And the bounty is 1,000 dinars, which was a lot of money. People would salivate for this money. The son comes back home. He's staying in a separate room. He sees the mother entering inside that room, fetching food, water. So he said to her, is there anyone? She said, yeah, a friend of mine. Someone is in the room. Who is it? He insisted, but she refused to divulge the name of Muslim ibn Aqeel. Until he grew suspicious of that person, she told him that I'll tell you with the condition of not telling anyone. He said, absolutely. She said, Muslim ibn Aqeel is our guest. Instead of feeling the honor of being the host for a man like Muslim ibn Aqeel, he waited until dawn to go and inform the authorities about Muslim ibn Aqeel's location. Immediately after knowing about his whereabouts, Ubaidullah sends a battalion to arrest him. So they come to the house of Muslim Muslim ibn Aqeel didn't sleep the night. He didn't eat anything. He said, I took a nap and I saw my uncle Ali ibn Abi Talib telling me that you will be our guest soon. So I'm just in this world tonight. I will meet my fate tomorrow. Early in the morning, suddenly they heard the sound of the horses, the battalion coming. He quickly wore his amama, took out his shield and took his sword. The moment they tried to raid the house, he fought back, pushing them out of the house. They tried again until Muslim was able to leave the house to fight so courageously with these people.
He's in the streets of Kufa, the narrow streets of Kufa. And the description of his battle is that it's so fierce that the soldiers have to constantly call for backup, and that he's literally manhandling as many soldiers that come in his direction, to the extent where more than 60 men are sent. And when Ubaydullah complains and he says, I sent you some time ago to capture one man, instead of bringing that one man to me, you keep asking me for soldiers. The reply comes, Oh Amir, you did not send us after a shopkeeper of Kufa. You sent us after one of the lions of Banu Hashim. To control this one lion, they describe and say that they didn't simply attack him from the front, but from behind, and that they would climb onto the roofs and throw down stone and ash upon him, because even the warrior standing in front of him could not face him. One piece of poetry that was beautiful says that how was this possible that they would stand on the roofs and throw things on him? Who would let them into the houses to climb up? They replied, we imagine it was Muslim who would throw them away and they would land on the roofs, that they would then come and attack him from the roof. Muslim fights with every ounce of his being. The treachery he faces in Kufa is similar to the treachery that Abu Abdullah faces in Karbala. The thirst that he faces in Kufa is the thirst that Imam Husayn faces in Karbala. When he's eventually captured, there's a discussion that says that in that moment he asks for water, and as he tries to drink, the blood from his cut lips falls into the water. Again, he tries, and his teeth that fall into the water, and he decides that no, then it is for me to die of thirst. He goes before Ubaydullah, and they say, why have you not said salam to the Amir? And there's very famous poetry that's recited that Hussein is my Amir, and what a great Amir he is. And Ubaydullah says, you say salam or you don't, you'll be killed. Muslim ibn Aqeel famously turns to the audience and turns to the people gathered there and says that I have a wasiyah to give. May I give my wasiyah to someone who is here? He famously selects Umar ibn Sa'd and says, Umar ibn Sa'd, you and I have Karaba, that we're from the Quraysh and we have some relationship. I want to give my wasiyah. He says, I have some debts. Sell my armor after my death. Fulfill my debts. He famously also says, send a message of what has happened to Imam Husayn. I say there is no message to send. And Umar Sa'd famously, upon hearing this wasiyah, turns and announces the entirety of wasiyah to Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, who refused to acknowledge any of the wasiyah that are given. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad promises, I will kill you in a way no one has been killed before. Takes him up to the top of the Dar al-Imara, takes him up to the top of the governor's palace. Muslim ibn Aqeel turns and says his salam to Abu Abdullah. They behead him, throw him from Dar al-Imara, and then they proceed to tie his feet and drag him through the streets of Kufa. They take his head and hang it outside of the gates of Kufa. And then think of those children, think of those daughters of Muslim ibn Aqeel, that the next time that they see their father is when they are prisoners and their father's head is hung from the walls of Kufa.
Imam Husayn was in a city called Zarud while on his way to Kufa. Suddenly he sees two men coming from the city of Kufa. When they met, the Imam asked them about the city of Kufa and what was happening. They said, Abu Abdullah, we left the city of Kufa while the bodies of Muslim and Hani were being dragged on the streets of Kufa. Muslim is gone. Muslim is killed. They say that Imam Husayn began to cry loudly. It was very painful for the Imam. Why? Remember what he wrote about him, my brother, my confidant, the trusted one, وَالْمُفَضَّلْ مِنْ أَهْلِ بَيْتِي, the favored one over all my family members, and his brother-in-law. The Imam then went and talked to his daughter Hamida, who is perhaps 4, 5, 6, we don't know. He sat her on his lap and he began to wipe his hand over her head. She said, Uncle, you're treating me the way an orphan is treated. Has something happened to my father? The Imam, who has a very tender heart, didn't just tell her that your father is dead. He said, from now on, I am your father.
The story of Muslim ibn Aqeel is one of sacrifice, courage, and defiance. It is a story that is told every year for over 1,000 years, inspiring generations young and old across the globe. His stand teaches us to always stand firm in the face of tyranny and stand up for what is right, even if it costs you your life.
One of the most important lessons that we learned from Muslim ibn Aqeel is the virtue of resilience. Whether you are standing with many or you are standing alone, a believer should never abandon their commitment to truth and justice. They should never abandon the Imam of their time, and they should never compromise their faith. The story of Muslim ibn Aqeel is a story of steadfastness in the face of impossible odds. When Muslim entered the city of Kufa, he was received by overwhelming support. But as fear and propaganda took hold of the city, he was abandoned. He was betrayed by the inhabitants of the city. But even as he stood alone, he never betrayed his Imam. He stood committed to the truth. He stood firm because he placed his reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether we stand alone or stand with many, our commitment to truth, our commitment to our faith should remain unshaken. That precisely is the legacy of Muslim ibn Aqeel.